there's no such thing as an alpha male. And I'm going to explain to you why. It seems like since Rollo Tomasi released The Rational Male and coined the phrase beta bucks, alpha fucks, it seems to be, what a lot of the men that have immersed themselves in red pill MGTOW content, from the perspective that I look at it at, it seems that a lot of weak-minded men have created this paradigm of what an alpha male is. And if you think about it, look at any of the memes or just listen to the way that most guys that call themselves MGTOW or red pill guys, when you listen to their content and you listen to the way that they refer to these guys, it's almost like they have a man crush on these dudes. It's always the dude that's more jacked than they are, taller than they are, richer than they are. It seems to be always, it always seems to be whatever the guy that's talking is not. But the meme, the visual that you get of a Chad is, it's the buff dude with, spiked hair, big jaw, broad shoulders, 6 foot something, and all that stuff. And that's, those guys are definitely formidable men if that's what a woman is into. If she's into that, which, I'm going to argue and say that most women are attracted to that biologically, but that doesn't go across the board. Some women don't like tall guys. Some women, there's someone for everyone. But this narrative of this alpha, being to me it's a lazy and it's fucking convenient, man, because what you're doing when you look at shit like that is you're putting yourself in a submissive role to this man that is either more fortunate, more studious, more diligent with his job, or just more genetically blessed than you are. But none of those things in it of itself make a good man, or even what would be considered an alpha. If you're looking at an alpha and considering that just the dude that all the sluts wanna bang, then that's a manly guy for sure. But not all those guys are alpha males. Not all of those guys. To me, an alpha is a leader. An alpha is a leader. He's an uncommon man. He's an uncommon man amongst uncommon men. And that's what an alpha is. An alpha isn't. It's not an appearance. It's not something that's tangible. It's not something that you can. That you were born with, or not necessarily. Some guys are born genetically alpha. They're big, strong, and genetically they fit that bill. But that doesn't mean that that's what that person is. That doesn't mean that this guy is, for any sense of the word, alpha. And so, as I've sorted through the content and dealt with my own journey in life, I've found it problematic to consider any man an alpha, because I don't look to any men as being above me. Yeah, there's always going to be a guy that's bigger than you, stronger than you, smarter than you, richer than you, taller than you, all of those things. I don't give a shit about those metrics. If I concern myself with not being 6'4", dude, I'd be wasting a lot of time, because I'm never going to be 6'4". If I concern myself with not having long flowy hair that I could do the douchebag, man bun shit, or whatever the douchebags that are alpha do, man, I will bum myself out. I don't really concern myself with those stupid things that are beyond my control. And as far as looking at another man, physically, and being being subservient to him, I think that's fucking retarded. Like I don't fear another man. He's a man, you know. I mean, there's no reason to fear no other human being. There's no reason that you respect people and you don't step out of bounds. I wouldn't run up to John Jones and talk shit to him and try to start a fight. But even though I know that dude would destroy me, if I had to fight John Jones, we just get busy. You know, maybe I got a puncher's chance. You always got a puncher's chance. I know it's slim to none, but man, I'm not gonna run. You know, and so do I look at this guy as alpha to me? Fuck no, I don't. But some female might. You know, some female might, because John Jones is a young guy. He's rich. He's a badass. He covers a lot of bases. But I'm not in competition with John Jones. I'm not in competition with any dude. I'm in competition with myself. My competition, my concern is me. And as long as I strive to be the best dude that I can be, man, it's futile for me to measure myself against any other guys. But one thing's for certain, I don't consider any dudes alpha to me, or alpha. You know, when I use those words, it is only in context. It's just for context. It's not a thing that. It's not a thing that you can point to definitely and say, hey man, this is the definition of what alpha is. And so when you look at the term beta, it's the same thing. You know, one of the problems that I have with a lot of content creators, especially the fag boy that keeps blocking me when I try to say stuff on his shit, they get full of their own shit. And, they like to toot their horn about being a high value male and all of this shit because they've got a following of guys. But those dudes, when you have to tell people that you're alpha male and you're a high value male, that's like a woman telling you how smart she is, how interesting she is. You don't really do that. Other people tell you this shit. That's kind of like making up your own nickname. So I look at these guys and, they constantly pat themselves on the back, but then they talk about alpha males. And if they're talking about themselves, that in itself is fucking hilarious, because you might be alpha in the group that you're in, and this is the key. This is actually the key and the point that I'm making. Every group of people has an alpha in the group. That's a leader, okay? That's the one that the rest of them are subservient to. So just to take a Planet of the Apes reference, Caesar was the dude. He was the man, okay? And even though Koba was he was a badass, Caesar was the dude. And even when he had a conflict, but when the king spoke, dude knew that he either had to check himself or get after it. Okay? Now, Caesar was the alpha. Now, when you go look at a group of computer nerds, as long as they stay in that group, there's an alpha in that group. All right? There's an alpha in that group. And the girls who like computer nerds, they're going to be in that group, and if they're attracted to the alpha, they're going to be attracted to that guy, okay? And then they'll go down that totem pole. Now, if a group of football players come in and try to drag their arms up there and be impressive to the nerd girls, the girls who like nerds, the idea that this guy, because he's big, tall, strong dude, is automatically gonna, get the pull is fucking ludicrous. It's stupid, because that dude doesn't automatically get that play. She might find him attractive and whatnot, but that doesn't automatically give him trump card over the nerd. Because when you stay in your lane and you don't mingle outside of where you belong, then what tends to happen is the women that are in your group, they look at guys from another group as dorky. Like if you're in a group of fucking meatheads where everybody's roided up, and the girls who like those guys, that's a totally different batch of women than that, the women who like guys who take care of their bodies and know how to talk and read and have a conversation that doesn't revolve around something in the mirror or something that they need to get bigger or some, mindless bullshit. And so as you go through different sects of life, different groups. So you got car guys, you got cyclists, you got runners, you got all these dudes, you got all of these people that have groups that hang out. And in those groups, there are going to be alphas. And so to think that there's one thing that, it's this golden standard, and to put yourself in a weak point because, you're never going to, you're 5'9", or, maybe you're skinny, or maybe you're a little bit overweight, maybe, whatever it is, to use that Chad alpha bullshit as the reason and as an excuse and as a hammer to beat yourself up with is absolutely fucking retarded. Because what you're talking about, what you're trying to measure, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist at all. It exists in the context of the group that you're in. That's it. So if you get a bunch of nerds together, and the nerds go hang out with the jocks, and the jocks hang out with the MMA fighters, and you guys got a big giant group of people within the ranks of men, we will sort that out. Men will look at themselves in that group, and they'll sort it out. In that collective, the women they'll sort it out amongst themselves. But the guys that men look at and go, oh, that's alpha. That those dudes don't automatically get a home run. They might get the first at bat. But a lot of these dudes are fucking morons. And so, if a chick is gonna roll out on a dude like that just because he's hot and he's a fucking idiot, do you really wanna mix up with a woman whose standards are that low? When I was younger, I had no problem dealing with stupid chicks. But as I've gotten older, there have been several times where I've been out on dates, and a woman will start talking, and I will respectfully remove myself from that situation, because I'm not going to sit there and waste my time listening to this fucking dummy talk about absolutely nothing just to try to get laid. It absolutely not. That's small thinking. That's absolutely fucktard thinking. And to look at the pool and the sea of women, if you're dating, if you are in that pool, if you are trying to deal with that, and you're trying to find your footing in anything, man, I implore you, don't fall victim to the narrative of calling dudes alpha males that, because they meet a certain visual physical standard. That's not, to me, in my opinion, that's not a real alpha at all. That's it's a key component to getting laid. But being a leader, being a real man, like being a real fucking man, it takes a hell of a lot more than just being tall and being pretty. I mean, seriously, if you want to see real alpha males, look at men who are leaders, man. Look at men who are leaders. If you're basing an alpha strictly off of his ability to fuck women, then you're still a little boy. You're a child, man. Women who swing on that branch are simply sluts. It has nothing to do with alpha or beta or any of that other than her selection process. Every man, myself included, has other men, a fuckload of other men walking around on this planet that are more, that are better, that are whatever. I mean, you're not the baddest motherfucker on this planet. You're not the only one. You're not special. You know what I mean? But you're also not fucked up because you're not tall or you're not rich or whatever. You're not. So stop classifying yourself or referring to other men as something more than you. A real alpha male has the ability to take care of his fucking business, man. He has the ability to take care of his business. He takes care of those that are around him, but he also has the ability to absolutely fuck shit up if it has to come down to that, all right? And this is why, when you look at the totality, if we took away all the constraints and all of the the rules and the niceties and the politically correct bullshit and just let it go weapons hot, you'd see a lot of these dudes that are walking around and have they've enjoyed this status as alphas and this scary dude just because their stature. You see a lot of those guys become midgets because a lot of those dudes are fucking pussies, man. And so if you just look at a dude and go, oh man, that's alpha male because that dude's tall, don't do that. Do not give any man any credit that he hasn't earned just because of what he looks like. You know what I mean? Like, you can dress up a turd. That doesn't make it a fucking sandwich. It doesn't make it a cake. So when you're looking at this shit, there's always going to be guys that are going to have more than what you have. I think the key is this, man. If you're dating and this is a concern for you, if this is a consideration of yours, what I say, again, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. If you're chasing after chicks that the alphas, in your own words, are going after, if you're chasing after women who have their selection of guys that fit whatever model you feel is physically threatening to you or financially threatening to you, if you're playing in that pool, dude, you're swimming with piranhas and sharks. So if you don't want to do that shit, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. If you're a nerd, stay around the nerds, man. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a dummy, date dummies. There's no reason for you to set yourself up for failure because you're trying to shop in a store that you can't afford, either mentally, physically, financially. You know what I mean? There's no reason for it. And so what I would really like to see dudes that are in the manosphere and dealing with the crookedness of women, stop making these characters of these men. Stop being afraid of these men. Stop looking at these men and giving them a place over you, because nobody has any business being over you and really fucking with you if you don't allow it. So yeah, there's always going to be dudes who fit a certain profile. They fit a genetic profile. They're tall, handsome dudes, whatever, man. Okay, that there's those guys, and then there's millions, probably billions of other women that aren't gonna anchor these dudes up. So stay in your lane and start talking to yourself using maybe more masculine terms, man. You know what I mean? The dude that these chicks are fucking, they're not alphas. They're just douchebag dudes that have been genetically blessed. Or they're dudes that are rich. Or, you get what I'm saying? No matter what it is, you're always going to look at the dude who fucks your girlfriend as something that you're not, or more than what you are. Doesn't make him better than you. Doesn't make him alpha to you. It doesn't make anything. It just makes you a human being that has gotten caught up with another human being that just so happens to be a fucking whore. That's it. Alpha is a state of mind, brothers. It's not a look. It's not swag that you can pretend. You don't throw a baseball hat on backwards, take a bunch of steroids, and all of a sudden you're alpha. Alpha is a state of mind. It's a state of life. It is looking at the world and saying, you know what? I was brought here to bend this to my will. So bend it. Out.